Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park. And today, we do have a special guest in studio with us, Don Scharfe, founder and former owner of Rocky Mountain Outfitter in Kalispell, downtown Kalispell. And we hope, even before this, you would tune into part one. We had a great conversation with Don already about climbing. This is a bit of an advanced show. If you're listening to it, the advice you're getting is a little above, the hiking trail, the basic hiking trail in Glacier Park. So if you're listening, just keep that in mind. And we've said it before, pay attention, know your physical limits and your skills and abilities before you head out on a climb in Glacier. And it's always good to go with other people and consult resources. So just keep that in mind as we talk about it, because we just can't even stop really here with Don talking about all adventures and reaching summits and peaks in Glacier and some of the climbing strategies. And we were just discussing, what to bring. And we've talked about this in other episodes, basic hiking gear. You can find that out, essential equipment. But as you're climbing, Don, you mentioned a few things that you sort of never leave home without.
Sure. If I'm going with a handful of people, particularly if they're not real experienced, I'll throw in a 30-meter, 8-millimeter rope. And I'm not really bringing harnesses with me or anchoring equipment. I'm sort of doing this sort of semi-running belay, you might call it, or else... Or you'll come to somewhere where there's a traverse where there's consequences, but it's an easy traverse, but there's exposure. And so many times I'll just throw the rope around someone's waist, tie in here with a bowline or a figure eight, whatever you're comfortable doing. And then I would go across and lead it, and then I would have the other people roped up behind me so that if something did happen, you're taking the risk out of it a little bit for sure. So that's something. And again, you don't want to be bringing harnesses and all this stuff because your pack gets heavy, and that's not the intention. It's just a running quick belay. But climbing helmets would be the other thing, because rockfall is so big in Glacier Park, and then learning like how to move with helmets on in that terrain. You want to stay close to people, so if rock does fall, it doesn't have a long way to travel. And then if you're sort of in a gully or a sort of an alluvial fan, I love to be, walking off on an angle so the person above me, if they do dislodge a rock, it doesn't come down on me. I'm left or right of it, as you guys know for sure.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice.
And there are other sources for this advice or for climbing with people, gaining knowledge. If you're just starting out, you don't have to do it on your own. One organization around here, Glacier Mountaineering Society, GMS, Don, you've been a part of. You mentioned, a lifetime member. I'm sure you've led hikes and climbs. What do you think of that? Is that a good place for somebody to start?
I think Glacier Mountaineering Society is a phenomenal organization. Particularly if you're new to climbing, they have their coordinators are all well experienced. They pick really cool routes to do, and it's a way for you to meet people. So it's great. It's really a good organization. Another thing we've got some nice guidebooks out there now with Glacier Park. Obviously, you guys are talking about Blake Passmore's books that he's kind of came out with in the last 10 years. But Edward's guidebook, back from the 50s and 60s, has just been republished again. Mm-hmm. And I recommend everybody owning a copy of it. It's more like literature than it is just a guide. It's really written very uniquely, But there's some great adventures he has in there. So in the last episode, you were asking about trips and traverses, and Edwards has this one traverse in there called the Norris Traverse, which starts out at Gunsight Lake, and then you'll go across Blackfoot and over by Red Eagle, and you come out of Cutbank Creek. And he has that whole traverse well laid out in it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful trip, and you'll never see anybody on it, and it is a home run.
Nice.
We'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, we do have that book. I don't remember reading that section, so I'm definitely going to have to reference that.
It's called the Norris Traverse because it kind of goes over Mount Norris. And you spend a lot of time in the Alpine, which is really neat. And people generally do it. You can do it in one night out if you're fast, but some people do 2 to 3 nights out. depending on the time of year, you'd probably throw in an ice axe because you are on snow in places. But nothing really difficult, but not a beginner's trip either, for sure. Definitely not
fast.
beginner.
It's pretty relative. Don says, if you're fast, and I know that means, 20 plus miles and that. So again, understand what you're getting into. But Don's a mountain goat, and we know that. And that's why we're learning so much from him, enjoying talking with him.
Don, is there a mountain in the park that you have climbed that stands out the most to you? Just either it be, the company that you were with, or, the experience that you had, or wildlife encounter. Is there one that stands out? I'm sure you have a ton because you've been climbing for so long, but.
Well, yeah, he said he's climbed 80 to 90% of the peaks. And I remember when we were with you, you were talking about some 5 or 6 peak day. And there are some areas in the park, right, where you can string together a few mountains at once.
Yeah, that's true. There's a number of places that you can string together, like multiple peaks, and it's really, really fun to do that. You're planned for a long day. Obviously, one of them would have been the one I did years back when we climbed going to the Sun Mountain, Metapi, and then we went over and did Sai and went over in Pegan Pollock and Bishop's Cap and Cataract. That's a big day, but it's been done, I think, a number of times now. Another cool multi-day, multi-peak from not Red Eagle Pass, but from Firebrand Pass. You've got Calf Robe, Red Crow, Bearhead, Dancing Lady, Apostoke, Mount Henry, Mount Ellsworth, and you can do those in a long day and really fun. And that's just another traverse too, talking about getting away from people, going up to Firebrand Pass, and then walking to Two Medicine. It's really a great trip, very day trippable. It's not technical. It's not real hard. It does require route finding for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Two Medicine area is a great place to be and a great place to climb. I know a couple of years ago, Sarah and I did that. The Apostoke, Ellsworth, Henry. And the point is, as we're talking about this, and you're talking about, wow, multiple summits in one day. The point is, you do a lot of the work, a lot of hard work to get to that elevation. And once you're up there, some of these ridge walks and ridge lines are just some of the most incredible places to be in Glacier, because the way that Glacier is positioned too, you can see into this basin or into that drainage all from the same place. And once you're up there,
you're 100% right on that. Yeah. Once you get the vertical, you're on those ridges, it's magical. And you do it like in July, and the wildflowers would just knock your socks off. It from down the road, you look up there, you don't really see much color. And then when you get up there, it's a fun because you don't want to step on them. You're trying to avoid it, dancing around all these wildflowers and stuff. So we're lucky people that we have taken the time to explore and to see the things we're seeing. I think about the rest of the world and how our lives are, it's good that you two take advantage of being outdoors, because I do feel outdoors is so healthy for us. It's nourishment for our brains and bodies for sure.
For sure. Yeah, nothing better. Mind, body, and spirit. But I do remember, that was a good memory. I was looking at these little purple flowers, and Sarah and I have talked about that. They're up this high. They've made it, they're so strong, and you just want to be careful and respect it, like everything else in Glacier, the wildlife. Yes. But I do remember that little purple flower that I loved that you identified for me, the Explorer's Gentian. I think it was
gorgeous. Yep.
And now every time I see it, I think of you, and I also just, I have to tell everyone that's my favorite wildflower, and I don't know, I just love it. But that was a good memory I remember from when we were out together.
Yeah, we do pick our favorites, don't we, on wildflowers? It's sort of funny, it's weird, but I always think of the harebell because they come out late, and I'll be in the park in October, and there's snow on the ground, and what do you see? Harebells. And I go, they're so resilient, and they're fighters. And want to live your life that way.
Yes, right. Take the example from the flowers. Sarah, have you got a favorite out there? Can you name something?
Well, I really, really like the fireweed. And I also like the Indian paintbrush.
Oh, gosh,
and we
yes.
just saw the albino paintbrush,
Oh, wow,
and which is
yes.
super rare. We just saw that when we were doing
That
Triple
was
Divide.
Triple Divide, yeah, pass.
Wow.
And I had to take a picture of it. I thought that was super cool because that's super rare. You don't see that too often.
Right.
So I don't know. It's hard to narrow down. Everyone I see, I have to photograph. I'm like, what is this? I have to identify it if I don't know it. And
It's
just
hard to pick a
beautiful.
favorite too. When you're asking me, like, what is your favorite climb in the park? You know, it'd be like saying, what is your favorite wildflower? I picked a harebell because it lives late into the season.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pick. There's so, you look at Columbine, there's so many beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful flowers.
Yeah, and there's so many areas of the park where you have just an array of probably, 15 to 20 different species of flower. Pecan Pass, Flower Pass. It's
Yes.
one of those examples where you go up there and you're like, it's just, they're everywhere. And there's so many different colors I'm seeing in the mountains in the background. It's just spectacular.
Glacier Park is sensory overload in the best way possible. But
Absolutely.
let's take a short break here. Stick with us. We've got another segment coming right up.
You wouldn't haul a 50-pound pack for a 3-mile hike, so why bank with a place that loads you down? At Freedom Bank, we keep it simple, smart, and mobile, so you can bank from your tent, the lake, or the top of Mount Brown. Proud sponsor of Hiking Fools because life's an adventure, and we've got your back. Freedom Bank, we want to be your bank. Give us a call at 892-1776. Member FDIC.
Welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools, and today talking with Don Scharfe. Hearing so much from him is just inspiring, and we hope that you feel the same way as a listener to get out into Glacier Park and check out the hikes. But there are also, various levels. You can go from a really nice hike, and all of them, are elevation up and down, and then some of them have a hiking trail leading all the way up to a summit. Huckleberry Lookout, Apgar Lookout, some of these places, you can get on top of a mountain in Glacier on a hike. And that's what's really neat. There are a few, the next level is like an Oberlin Mountain up by Logan Pass. And we've got an episode on that if you want to check that out separately. But Don, if somebody's just getting into this climbing, kind of a beginner, where else can they go in the park?
Well, I think there's a number of great walk-ups. So we could go back to Firebrand Pass, and you get to the pass, and there's a peak to the south of you called Calf Robe, which is a beautiful summit. And then if you were to go to the peak to the north of the pass is Red Crow. And those are really good first-time climbs. If you have a good fitness level, you're not going to wear up some snow face because you can avoid all that. They're beautiful peaks to do as well. And another one that I continue to do is just Pegan and Pollock. You can go up to Pegan Pass, and then just as you're going up the pass on your left, you leave, which would be sort of a southerly direction. And there's this beautiful alpine meadow that you can find an old goat trail and climber's trail up to a pass that has between Pegan and Pollock. And I call it Lunch Creek Pass. I know it's an unofficial name, but when people get up there, every time I've been with people, they're blown away by what they're seeing because you're looking down toward Logan Pass. You can kind of see the road, which is kind of trippy, but still, it's really, it's pretty neat. And then to go up Pegan, it's just a walk, nothing technical, really fun. And then Pollock is a little more to the north. It has a little more spice to it. You end up going up into this chimney, and it does require climbing. You could bring a little rope with you if you needed it. I had a rope with me, and I have roped people up on that a time or two. But those are pretty good peaks to do. Maybe you'll do a report on that peak in the future,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, we have Pegan and Pollock. We've gone, I guess, both ways up to Pegan Pass and then some of those, and then we come up Lunch Creek once too,
right.
And did Pollock and Bishop's Cap. But you're right, Pollock. As you mentioned, carrying a rope of some sort. I believe it was that mountain where we used the rope to lift our packs.
Yes.
Sometimes some of these chimneys or gullies are pretty tight, and if nothing else, you can kind of get that weight and shape off your back so that you can be a little more nimble.
Exactly, for sure. So.
But Sarah, yeah, those are a couple that we've enjoyed. together. And man, it's so great to have family or friends or partner doing these things with you, because it's such a wonderful feeling. I like to joke and say, it's like you're on top of a mountain, when you get on these peaks. But you love it.
I really do love it. Yeah, I like to check the box to say that I've climbed this, and oftentimes we go back and do it again because we love it so much. And I'm not in competition with anyone else. It's really just myself, because you really, and a lot of times it's difficult. You're straining your body. It's super physical. You feel like you're in really good shape, but you push your body, and at some point or another, it's like this mental game of, can I really do this? Are we almost there? Gosh, I can't wait to get to the top. And then you conquer it. And it's just the feeling that you have afterwards and on your way down. It's such a good feeling.
Yeah, going down at the end, I know what you're saying, because you've worked so hard. And sometimes you're on a climb that you're mentally stressed out on. Like, all of a sudden, the rock wasn't real good, or else, the snow conditions could have been a little sketchy. And you summit, and in coming down, you don't want to let your defenses up, because that's where most injuries happen, is on the descent of a mountain. I mean, even something as simple as Pollock, we're talking, there's a couple of steps in there. So always be aware that getting to the top is only half of the bargain.
Yeah.
You got to get home,
Yeah.
and you got to save your energy. And that's when you're the most tired. And I think that's when people do have problems,
Don, I think I asked you, I remember on this hike too, what is the secret? Because we were with you and a couple of other guys. How do you exercise? What do you eat? Like, what do you bring with you? Always wondering, how can I, at my age, 30, another 30 years, how can we keep doing this? And I don't know if you have any secrets for anybody. Like, you said you were at the store, you were on your feet a lot, which helped. You were not constantly sitting down, a sedentary lifestyle. But is there anything else you can offer? Like, this is how you're in this for the long haul.
Well, genetics come into play. I'm absolutely convinced. All three of us are pretty lean people. So that and some of that is genetics, but also fairly high energy. Eating, drinking, those are all, we all know what we need to do there. Staying hydrated, obviously, taking in calories. But and then there's just this, we're so strong mentally, all of us in different capacities. And possibly our capacity is we can walk uphill for 8 hours, and where a lot of people couldn't because they just don't want to, but yeah.
Sometimes we do question that. Why are we why are we doing this? And then you get to the top and you're like, well, this is why.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the journey, obviously, like we talked about wildflowers earlier in the episode. I mean, those are just little things that they're caveats. All of a sudden you'll be walking and you'll see a whole bunch of flowers, and you're kind of going like, "Whoa, what are they doing up here?" Mm-hmm. So I don't want to go back to flowers too much.
No, that's
no. Even
right.
wildlife, you see. I
sure.
love seeing wildlife. I don't care what it is. If it's a small little guy or a huge predator, I love it, and I'm kind of addicted to that feeling too. Just seeing them in their element and not disturbing them, and just observing
the rock, the patterns in the rock,
geology.
The geology in the park. And you said it at the beginning of all this. I think it's such a special place, and you've been a lot of places.
Yeah, and going back to rock, you think of the Grand Canyon. You go down with all these horizontal layers. Glacier Park, I always think, is just the opposite. We have all these horizontal, sedimentary, igneous bands of rocks, lots of colors. Very, very special. Yeah.
So we are getting close to wrapping up our conversation with Don, and have enjoyed it so much. But a few more things, Don. It's just so neat. I'll mention it again. Rocky Mountain Outfitter celebrating his 50th anniversary. Incredible. You've had such a passion for helping people to experience the same thing that you have, that you love. Sharing your passion, and you're still doing that.
I am, and I'm not in the store very much anymore, a little bit here and there. Jandy will call me and I'll do a fill-in once in a while. But one of the things I'm doing in the last 4 or 5 years is I've been volunteering as a wilderness patrol person for the National Park Service in Glacier. And I've really found that to be a really rewarding thing. I go to places in the park where I would never go in the past. For instance, the Grinnell Overlook Trail. Or Grinnell Glacier Trail. I'll be on that trail on a summer day and I'll see 500-600 people sometimes. But the interesting thing is they're all so excited to be there. And I see all these people from other countries, and they speak broken English, and we have great conversations. It's fun to see people getting out in the park, where before, and almost my whole life, I've always avoided those places. I want to get away from people. So volunteering with the park, you are helping people out a lot. First aid, they may have blisters, a lot of times they're dehydrated on these hot days. So it's been good for me. So I would say maybe not as many peaks these last year or two, because I do spend a lot of time on the trail now versus off the trail. But I am climbing peaks still. I just did one last week.
Which one did you do?
Well, I was down in Death Valley, and I went up Mount Peary, which was really fun. It was a kind of a 10-mile walk, and a really beautiful ridge walk out there in the desert, 70 degrees, and really different than Glacier.
Far and wide. Far and wide. Don has been, it's just been great. I don't know what else to say. We'll continue this conversation for many years, I believe, and let's do it. We've got you here now. Let's get out and nab a peak here at some time. But Don, thank you. Just such an inspiring individual.
Well, it's been a hoot. I appreciate it. I can't believe you would even ask me to do this. You know what I mean? So, I've heard your podcast before. I think you guys are crushing it. So great.
Oh,
thanks so much. Thanks so much. Everybody out there, check us out on Instagram at HikingFoolsMT. You can see some great photos from our adventures. And tune in next time. Check out more episodes online. And remember to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go